New at 4 now, still no public sighting of North Texas rapper Yella Beezy after he bonded out of jail at 10 o'clock this morning. He's charged with capital in the 2020 of Dallas rapper Mo3. Prosecutors say Yella Beezy, whose real name is Marquise Conway, hired the hitman in that case.
This all happened back in 2020. And just before noon on the middle of Interstate 35, just south of the Dallas Zoo, Dallas police arrested a 22-year-old and charged him with initially. That 22-year-old's in federal prison, convicted of gun charges. But now, 5 years later, they say he was the...
Breaking now. Dallas rap king Yella Beezy accused of plotting a cold-blooded highway hit on rival Mo3, with cash trails exposing a dangerous feud that's rocking the hip-hop world. We're talking about one of the boldest accusations to ever hit Texas music, a story of fame, ego, and betrayal that has turned into a full-blown criminal case with capital charges that could end a career forever. The scene was Interstate 35E in broad daylight back in November 2020, when rapper Mo3, real name Melvin Noble, lost his life in a terrifying midday chase that left Dallas in disbelief. Now, years later, prosecutors claim Yella Beezy, whose legal name is Marquise Conway, wasn't just another artist in a rivalry. He was allegedly the mastermind behind the setup.
Chris, Yella Beezy's top single, it Put It On Me, it peaked at 56 on the Billboard Hot 100. Now, he's in the Dallas County Justice Complex behind me on a capital charge, accused of hiring a hitman to a fellow rapper.
It was the kind of moment that shattered the illusion of fame in Dallas rap. Two local stars at the peak of their game, one gunned down, the other accused of ordering it. According to court filings, investigators believe Conway promised cash to have Mo3 taken out after years of personal tension and street drama that boiled far beyond lyrics. The capital homicide for hire charge hanging over Beezy is the most serious Texas can bring, and if convicted, it could mean life behind bars. But beyond the legal weight, it's the story behind it that's got everyone talking. How a musical rivalry could twist into something so brutal, and how the paper trail may now hold the answers. We remember the moment like it was yesterday. Around noon on November 11, 2020, traffic crawled along I-35E near the Dallas Zoo when chaos erupted.
Two breaking news stories tonight, starting with an update on a rapper gunned down on a highway 5 years ago. Dallas police now say Yella Beezy hired a hitman to kill his one-time friend turned rival,
Mo3 was chased on foot after his car stopped in the middle of the highway. Witnesses said the shooter got out, followed him down the lanes, and opened fire as cars screeched to a stop. It was brazen, reckless, and public, the kind of act that left a mark on the entire city. Within days, police arrested Kwan White, now accused of being the gunman. But what caught everyone's attention later was the allegation that White wasn't acting alone, that someone else, someone with power, money, and motive, was pulling the strings. When Yella Beezy's name surfaced, it hit like a thunderclap. This was the same artist who had once toured with Jay-Z and Beyoncé, who topped the charts with That's On Me, who had the entire city rooting for him. The allegations didn't just surprise fans, they sent shockwaves through an industry already haunted by too many violent losses.
Yella Beezy is now charged with capital in for hire for Mo3. Now, capital means county.
Yeah.
And I think Trap Boy Freddy said that, Yella Beezy basically sold everything to make bail and also prepare for this trial.
Prosecutors claim Beezy withdrew $40,000 in cash right around the time of Mo3's passing, a move they say was no coincidence. Investigators allege that money matched the supposed fee offered to the man who carried out the attack. That cash trail has now become the beating heart of the state's case, and the detail that turned whispers into a full-on scandal. Behind that, the timeline reads like a slow-motion collision. Both artists came from the same city, but different worlds. Beezy from Oak Cliff, known for hustle and ambition. Mo3 from North Dallas, fueled by soul, pain, and raw truth. They were rivals long before the courts got involved, trading barbs in lyrics and online, but always denying any real feud. It was nothing, Mo3 once said in a 2019 interview. Yet insiders in the Dallas scene say otherwise, claiming that the rivalry was far from over and that street loyalties kept the tension alive, even after both artists made it big. We can't ignore how deep this goes. In 2018, Beezy survived his own shooting on the Sam Rayburn Tollway, a moment that some fans linked to the same ongoing beef. A year later, comedian Roy Lee, a friend of Mo3, was attacked after joking online about Beezy's crew, and when he passed soon after, the streets started connecting dots. Nothing was ever proven, but the air between both camps grew thicker by the year.
But it was things going on in the streets, bro, to where, where a man is trying to, sometimes defending your life requires a life. You understand what I'm saying? Especially, that's one thing about Boosie. Boosie, he tell you, if you're a rapper, you got to leave where you from.
Then came 2020, the year Dallas lost one of its brightest stars, and the whispers turned into theories. Sources familiar with the investigation say detectives had been hearing Beezy's name since the very beginning, but it took time and testimony from insiders to finally piece things together. By March 2025, after years of speculation, Beezy was indicted by a Dallas County grand jury for capital homicide while remuneration, essentially accusing him of paying for the act. The number attached to the alleged payment, $40,000, matched the suspicious withdrawal recorded just days after Mo3's passing. Surveillance footage reportedly captured Beezy at the bank, though that video remains sealed under court order. His lawyers insist the money was for personal business and say the state is twisting coincidence into conspiracy. But prosecutors are convinced it's their smoking gun. Meanwhile, the accused shooter, Kwan White, has already been sentenced to nearly 9 years in federal prison on a firearm charge. Insiders claim he's cooperating with authorities, feeding them information that might connect Beezy directly to the hit. If that's true, his testimony could change everything. Still, Beezy's defense argues White has every reason to say whatever the state wants to hear in exchange for leniency. Both sides are playing a dangerous game, one fighting to prove motive, the other to dismantle it. Adding fuel to the fire, court documents show that Beezy's team recently demanded prosecutors reveal the names of confidential informants before the trial. That move, rare and aggressive, suggests they suspect hidden deals between witnesses and the state. Legal analysts say it's a sign the defense is gearing up for a credibility war, trying to show that the people pointing fingers might have something to gain.
I'm looking at the case and it seems kind of flimsy.
I do want to say this. Everybody thinks the shooter is the one talking. I don't think it's the shooter talking. I believe it's the baby daddy of the chick that Mo3 was up there with. Because the shooter did an interview and said, I'm not the one going back and forth to the county jail.
The trial, now set for February 2nd, 2026, is expected to be one of the most watched in Texas. But until then, the evidence keeps piling up, and the city's rap scene remains split down the middle, half convinced of his innocence, half ready to see justice served. As of late 2025, Beezy remains under strict house arrest with one narrow exception, a court-approved 5-hour studio window once a week. It's a strange image, a rapper at the center of a capital case still dropping tracks while awaiting trial. To some, it's resilience, to others, arrogance. Either way, the man once hailed as Dallas royalty is now living on borrowed time. His next appearance in court could decide not just his freedom, but the legacy of an entire movement that defined Texas hip-hop for a generation. And yet, sources close to the case hint that prosecutors aren't done.
It's not a surprise. We actually make these requests quite often, especially when we have a scenario or a situation where, the defendant is a parent and wants to be involved in their children's matters, or, maybe there's a wedding coming up or something of that sort. So it's not uncommon at all for the defense to make requests like this. I think considering the charges, and obviously it's charge in this case, the judge declined not to. And one of the things I always say is it's inconvenient to be a defendant.
There are rumors of additional witnesses, new financial links, and private communications that may soon come to light. But as the trials approach, what if these cash trails lead to even bigger names in the rap game? Stay tuned, because this betrayal might just be the tip of a much darker iceberg. In Dallas, nothing stays buried for long. And now, the Yella Beezy case has become a mirror reflecting a darker cycle in the city's music scene. We can see a pattern forming, a rhythm of rivalry, loyalty, and revenge that has haunted Dallas rap for over a decade. Every generation seems to birth its own version of this story, promising artists caught between street credibility and chart success, between fame's bright light and the pull of old alliances. With Beezy and Mo3, it feels like all those undercurrents finally collided in the most public, devastating way possible. Insiders are saying this was never just about two men. It was about a city divided, where respect runs deeper than contracts, and old grudges never really fade. We've watched this before. The Dallas rap circuit has long blurred the line between lyrical competition and real-world consequences. Artists like Trapboy Freddy and Boozy Badass have openly acknowledged the pressure that comes with hometown fame. The tension in Beezy and Mo3's story fits right into that blueprint. Two artists fighting to dominate the same stage, surrounded by entourages who treated reputation like a battlefield. It's no wonder that when the shots rang out on I-35E in 2020, many didn't see it as an isolated tragedy. They saw it as the climax of years of unspoken war. Critics point out inconsistencies in both rappers' public statements. Mo3 claimed there was nothing between them, brushing off rumors of hostility, while Beezy told interviewers he had never heard of Mo3. Yet during those same years, their lyrics seemed to throw punches back and forth, subtle jabs that fans dissected line by line. A few old clips still circulate online, showing Beezy's crew trading words with Mo3's team outside Dallas clubs.
It's been like 5 years, right?
Mo3 got
2020, 2021?
2020, yeah, 5 years. You're right.
5 years, so
5 years.
for that to come back and bite him.
Insiders familiar with both camps say those moments weren't staged. They were real tensions spilling into public view, all while the rappers tried to downplay it for the cameras. That contrast between denial and reality has become one of the most fascinating parts of this case. The same people who once shared stages are now connected through police files, surveillance footage, and banking records. The alleged $40,000 withdrawal that prosecutors tie to Beezy isn't just financial evidence, it's symbolic. The price of a rivalry that got out of control. Some legal analysts argue the case could redefine how law enforcement approaches crimes involving entertainers, treating rap beefs not as art, but as organized plots. Others believe it's all circumstantial noise, built on rumor and perception rather than proof. Still, it's impossible to ignore how the daylight nature of the 2020 attack changed everything. Whoever planned it, if it was planned, didn't hide in shadows. They struck on one of Dallas's busiest highways, a move that investigators call unusually bold. Insiders believe this brazenness could signal deeper involvement, that there may have been multiple players pulling strings from behind the curtain. The theory goes that both artists were pawns in something larger, a silent struggle among crews whose reach extended far beyond studio walls. That's why, even now, years later, authorities are still quietly following leads about who might have known what before that afternoon on I-35E. Meanwhile, Beezy's current situation feels like the script of a slow-motion thriller. Allowed just 5 hours a week in the studio, he's reportedly working on new music, the kind that turns personal chaos into confessional art. People close to him say he's focused, calm, almost defiant, convinced he'll walk free once the truth surfaces. But others close to the case whisper that prosecutors have more evidence tucked away, including potential witness statements that could shake the courtroom when the trial begins. Those alleged witnesses, protected under sealed orders, are said to include people from inside the Dallas music world, individuals who once benefited from Beezy's rise.
Depend. They have a significantly high burden of proof in this case. I don't know how clear-cut the evidence is. I know there's video footage that shows what appears to be Mr. White or could possibly be Mr. White bring this individual on a highway in Texas. That will certainly be a key piece of evidence at trial. And whatever causal link the prosecution will be able to show connecting Mr. Beezy to Mr. White will certainly come into evidence if
We can't overlook the symbolism of it all. Mo3's name has become almost mythic, his songs taking on new life since his passing, while Beezy's reputation teeters between innocence and infamy. Together, they represent both sides of the famed coin, one frozen in legacy, the other fighting to prove he wasn't behind the fall. It's tragic irony that both men, once climbing the same ladder, now stand at opposite ends of the justice system, one immortalized through his catalog, the other trapped in a legal battle where every lyric and every dollar could be used as evidence. As the trial experts say, we should brace for dramatic revelations. Witnesses could take the stand describing how those alleged cash withdrawals were made, how certain phone calls lined up too neatly with the events of November 2020, and how private messages might expose personal motives. Some court observers even predict that Beezy's defense team will try to turn the tables, suggesting that Mo3 had his own powerful allies with grudges of their own. That angle, if pursued, could drag even more names from the Dallas scene into the courtroom spotlight, creating a storm the industry isn't ready for. Behind the legal documents and headlines, we can't ignore the psychological storm swirling beneath these rivalries. Psychologists who study fame's darker edges often describe a phenomenon where public pressure intensifies old insecurities until loyalty becomes obsession. In this case, fame wasn't just a goal, it was a test of dominance. Both men came from environments where respect was survival, not luxury. And when that mindset meets the spotlight, every look, lyric, and rumor takes on life or final stakes weight. Analysts say that when artists rise too fast without emotional anchors, unresolved rivalries can evolve into something far more dangerous than ego. They become personal mythology, a battle for legacy that consumes everything in its path. We've seen this transformation before in other scenes, how fame's glare magnifies paranoia, how entourages feed pride while fueling fear. In Dallas, where community ties run deep, that pressure multiplies. Friends become soldiers, peers become threats, and a city's admiration becomes both armor and target. Insiders familiar with Beezy's early career claim that by the time That's On Me took off, he was already surrounded by people more focused on protecting image than peace. The same could be said for Mo3, whose authenticity was both his blessing and his curse. Fans loved him because he was raw, but that same rawness blurred where his art ended and his reality began. Psychologists speculate that unresolved beefs like theirs often start with something small, a perceived slight, a rumor, a betrayal, that fame later magnifies into an identity crisis. Once reputations are built on toughness and dominance, there's no room for vulnerability. Apologies look like weakness, and weakness invites danger. By that logic, the alleged cash withdrawals prosecutors now highlight could represent something deeper than simple payment. Was it part of a long, simmering vendetta, a way to reclaim lost pride, or just a tragic coincidence that spiraled out of control? The line between revenge and survival becomes almost impossible to see once fame enters the equation.
And he just came off of rainwater loss, $350,000, that civil suit.
Wait, so who lost?
With Rainwater, Mo3's manager.
Who did he sue?
Yella Beezy.
For what?
They caught him and whooped his ass and had him on all four. They kicked Rainwater in his ass and broke his tailbone, hip bone. You could put it up. And that was a lawsuit. He was suing him, but like two.
Insiders claim there could be suppressed rumors of even darker motives lurking. Whispers about grudges buried under years of silence, and money trails that lead far beyond Dallas. Those whispers suggest a feud that was never really about two artists, but about the network of pride, protection, and payback orbiting them. Each new court filing hints that what we know so far might only be the surface. As the trial looms closer, the question becomes not just who did what, but why, and whether these psychological scars of fame and rivalry are too deep for the truth to ever come clean. Sources close to law enforcement hint that this case could widen further. They claim investigators have quietly been revisiting older incidents linked to the same circles, everything from nightclub brawls to past shootings that were never fully solved. Whether those events tie directly back to Beezy remains unconfirmed, but the speculation is enough to keep the story alive in headlines week after week. It's as if the city itself is holding its breath, waiting to see whether one man's downfall will expose something bigger and darker under Dallas's glamorous surface. Industry insiders describe the current mood as tense, even fearful. Some artists have pulled back from live shows in the city, citing security reasons. Promoters are rethinking bookings, and fans are left wondering who they can still root for. Dallas, once proud of its booming hip-hop culture, now feels haunted by the ghosts of its own success. The Beezy Mo3 saga has turned into a cautionary tale about how fame can turn lethal when street loyalties refuse to fade quietly. Every new filing, every leaked court motion only deepens the suspicion that we still don't know the full story. And maybe that's why people can't look away. This isn't just another crime headline. It's a story about loyalty and pride, about what happens when art and reality fuse until nobody knows where one ends and the other begins. Each update feels like another verse in a track neither artist wanted to write. The court calendar says February 2nd, 2026, but the streets of Dallas are already anticipating a verdict, long before a jury ever takes their seats. With whispers of revenge still echoing through Dallas streets and trials set to unleash more secrets, one thing's clear. This dangerous underbelly of fame might claim even more victims before the truth fully emerges, leaving us all wondering who's next. So, what do you think? Was this all just coincidence, or the final act of a feud written in fate? Drop your thoughts below, stay alert, and until next time, keep your ears open and your loyalty sharp, because in this world, even the brightest stars can burn out in an instant.